With all the hype surrounding Overwatch, we've all been watching tons of videos on it. But in the ones I've seen, no one's asked or answered the question, will I like this game even if I hate FPS? I'm here to explain that yeah, chances are, you're gonna love it. Looks can be deceiving, and for me, in this case, they definitely were. When you watch Overwatch played, you start to get the idea that it plays like Team Fortress, but really doesn't. Let me explain. For me, part of the reason I don't like shooter games is you have to be super accurate. In this game, accuracy obviously is going to help you, but it's a lot more forgiving than your typical shooter game. The closest comparison to another game that I could make is Super Monday Night Combat, which you've probably never played because it wasn't that popular and is dead now. It was a third-person shooter, but the way Overwatch works, they could easily switch the camera perspective, and it would totally work as a third-person shooter. The reason why is that forgiving accuracy level. In a third-person shooter, you're almost always doing hip fire, so it has to be more forgiving, and the projectile speed has to be very, very fast. So when you click, it's pretty much there. That's how Overwatch feels. It's obviously going to be a little different depending on the character that you play, but they're all pretty forgiving. I don't think I'd be exaggerating to say that I'm one of the worst first-person shooter game players ever to have existed, and they're always just spawn die over and over again. Overwatch isn't like that. From your very first match, you're gonna feel like you're at least participating. The time to kill, depending on what character is shooting what character, can be very, very, very fast. But that leads me into my next point. A lot of shooters have so-called classes in them. You know, the assault, the medic, the engineer. At the end of the day, you're still just a guy with a gun and one auxiliary item that does something else. As you've surely heard before, in Overwatch, there are 4 classes, and they work more like a MOBA or an MMO. But what I'd like to drive home is how different the classes really are from one another. To draw a parallel with MOBAs, your assaults are like your AD carries and your mages. Your defensives are like warriors. Your tanks are obviously tanks, and your supports, well, they're supports. Being good at an FPS game isn't necessarily going to make you a good tank or a good support. Sometimes a great deal of your job as a tank is just to stand in doorways and in front of obstacles and block the incoming bullets. As a support, you may never pull out your gun once as Mercy, you just fly around healing and buffing people. The variation between the gameplay of the different classes is tremendous. Even as I mentioned, the forgiving nature of Overwatch will allow you to play an assault character and still feel like you're participating, because hitting things can be pretty easy. But personally, it's still not as fun for me as tanking or supporting. So at the end of the day, being good at FPS or even liking the concept of it is pretty far removed from this when you consider the different roles there are to play. The conclusion really is that Overwatch is a great crossover game. For me, I have friends who love to play Call of Duty and Battlefield and games like that, but I never want to play with them because I hate those kind of games. But chances are they're gonna like Overwatch just as much as I do, albeit for different reasons, but we can all still play together. And I think that's pretty cool. Let me know in the comments, A, if you made it this far, and B, if you agree with me. Thanks for watching.